This is the EdExcel GCSE 9-1 Maths Foundation Paper 2 from the November 2021 series, and this paper is a calculator paper. Question number 1, we have to write 31% as a fraction. Well, percentage means out of 100, and so we have here 31 out of 100. 31% as a fraction is 31 over 100. Question number 2. We have to change 3 meters into centimeter. Well, 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters, and so therefore in 3 meters we would have to multiply by 3, and so we will end up with 300 centimeters. We have 300 centimeters in 3 meters. Question number 3. We have to write the following numbers in order of size. Start with the smallest number. The numbers are given to 2 decimal places, and so ordering them is quite easy. The smallest one is 0.12, followed by 0.21, followed by 1.02, followed by 1.20. Question number 4 for part A, we have to simplify m plus m plus m plus m. We end up with 4m. And then for part B, we have to simplify 12p divided by 4. First of all, 4 goes into 12 3 times, and so we are left with 3p. Question number 5. The diagram shows a rectangle. We've got 20 meters and 35 meters for the dimensions, and on the centimeter grid below, we have to draw an accurate scale drawing of this rectangle. Use a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 5 meters. Well, to find out how many centimeters we should use for our scale, what we would have to do is 20 meters divided by 5 meters, which is 4. And so we would have 4 centimeters here, and across here we have 35 meters divided by 5 meters, which is 7. And so we have 7 centimeters going across. So when we come to show the rectangle, we have 7 by 4. Here is our completed rectangle. Question number 6. Here is a list of whole numbers from 21 to 30. For part A, we have to, from the list, write down a square number. Well, a square number will be this 25. 5 times 5 gives 25. 25 is a square number. Then for part B, we have to write down from the list a multiple of 8. A number which is in the 8 times table is a multiple of 8, and that would be 24. 24 is a multiple of 8. Question number 7. Baker has 3 bags of flour, A, B and C. Bag A and bag B contain the same amount of flour. Bag C contains 940 grams of flour. In the 3 bags there is a total of 2,500 grams of flour, and we have to work out the amount of flour in bag A. Well, in bag A and bag B, in total we have 2,500 subtract 940, and if we work this out, we have 1,560. So we've got the total amount of flour in all 3 bags, subtract the amount in bag C. So to find out how much there is in bag A, well, if bag A and B contain the same amount of flour, we can therefore conclude that in bag A we would have 1,560 divided by 2, which is 780. In bag A we have 780. Question number 8. 5 students throw a dice. They each throw the dice the same number of times. The diagram gives information about the number of times the dice lands on each number. We've got the frequency and the number on the dice. We have to work out how many times each student throws the dice. Well, they throw on a number 1 6 times, on the number 2 4 times, on the number 3 5 times, on the number 4 8 times, on the number 5 7 times, and on the number 6 5 times. And so if we add all this together, we have 35. And this 35 is the total number of throws. And we know that there are 5 students, so to work out how many times each student throws the dice, we have 35 divided by 5, which is 7. So we've got 7. Question number 9. Alec needs to work out the value of 2 plus 3 times 4. He writes 2 plus 3, which is 5, and 5 times 4 is 20. And so 2 plus 3 times 4 is 20. Alec is wrong, explain why. Well, it should be, well, here, what we should be doing is the 3 times the 4 first. So we should have 2 plus 12, which is 14. Question number 10. We have to write 17 as a fraction of 30. Well, out of 30, we have 17, so the fraction is 17 out of 30. Question number 11. We have to reflect shape A in the mirror line. Well, if I reflect shape A in the mirror line, from here to here we have 2, and so in the opposite direction, for this point, we have this point here. From here to here we have 3, so in the opposite direction we have 3, and from here to here we have 4, so from here to here we also have 4. And now if we join those up with a straight line, we have our reflection of shape A. Question number 12 for part A, we have to work out the square root of 13.82 divided by 4.06, and we have to write down all the figures on your calculator display. Well, if I work out the square root of 13.82 divided by 4.06, I get the value shown here. And if I copy out this, we have 1.844977,205. Now we have to give our answer to part A correct to 2 decimal places. Well, if I look at the third decimal place, which is this 4, the digit before it, which is this 4, does not need to be moved because this 4 here is less than 5. And so to 2 decimal places, we have 1.84. Question number 13. RST is a straight line, and what we have to do is work out the value of x. Well, we know that angles on a straight line add up to 180, and so knowing that angles on a straight line add up to 180, we have x plus 75 plus 84 equals 180. Now 75 plus 84 is 159, and so therefore we have x plus 159 equals 180, in which case we can see x is equal to 21. Question number 14. Nazima uses this graph to find out how much money she is paid for the number of hours she has worked. We've got the pay and hours worked. For part A, how much money is Nazima paid for each hour she works? Well, here we need to work out the rate. And so if we work out the rate, we can see in 1 hour we have £15. So our rate then is £15 per hour. And then last week Nazima worked for 36 hours. How much money was Nazima paid? Well, to work this out, if in 1 hour she is paid £15, then in 36 hours we have to multiply 15 by 36 to get 540. So in 36 hours she is paid £540. So we have £540. Question number 15. We have to write the following fractions in order of size. Start with the smallest fraction. Well, what we can do is convert each of these to decimals. 5/8 as a decimal is 0.625. 2/3 as a decimal is 0.666, etc., 0.6 recurring. 4/9 as a decimal is 0.444, 0.4 recurring. And 3/5 as a decimal is 0.6. So now when we come to order them, the smallest one here is this, which corresponds to the 4/9. followed by the next smallest one, which is the 0.6, and this corresponds to the 3/5, followed by the 0.625, which corresponds to the 5/8, followed by the 2/3, and so what we have done here is order the fractions in order of size. Question number 16. The pie chart gives information about the colour of each car in a car park. We've got black, white and other colours. We know that there are 135 black cars in the car park, and with this we have to work out the number of white cars in the car park. First of all, we know that angles around a point add up to 360, and so therefore 360, take away the 90 for black, take away the 80 for white, that's 190. And so therefore, the angle here is equal to 190 degrees. Now, we know that 135 cars corresponds to 90 degrees. And what we have to do is find out the number of white cars. We want to find out what 80 degrees represents. Now, for us to work out what 80 degrees represents, we can first of all work out what 10 degrees represents. And we can do this by dividing by 9. So if I do 135 divided by 9, we get 15. So I have 15 cars, and that represents 10 degrees. And now if I times this by 8 to work out what 80 degrees is, 15 times by 8 is 120. So I've got 120 cars, which is representative of 80 degrees. So we have 120 white cars. Now, there are 50 grey cars in the car park. A car in the car park is picked at random. We have to find the probability that this car is grey. Well, what we need to do is find out the total number of cars. Well, for me to find the total number of cars, I know that angles around a point sum to 360. So I can find out what 360 represents. And to do this, I can multiply the 90 by 4 to get 360. So I also need to multiply by 360 the 135. So I've got 135 times 4, which is 540. So I have 540 cars, which is equal to 360 degrees. And so therefore, the probability that the car is grey, that's equal to 50 over 540, which simplifies to 5 over 54. So I have 5 over 54. Question number 17. 60 people are asked if they prefer to text or email their friends. 30 of the people are women and the rest are men. 15 of the men prefer to email their friends. 60% of the people prefer to text their friends. You have to complete the frequency tree for this information. So, first of all, we've got 60 people in total, and we know that 38 of the people are women. So we have 38 over here. And to find out the number of men, 60 subtract 38 is 22. We've got 22 men. Now, we also know that 15 of the men prefer to email their friends. So 15 prefer to email, and so those who prefer to text is 7. And we know that 60% of the people prefer to text their friends. So for texting in total, we need to work out 60% of 60. So 60% of 60, that's the same as 0.6 times 60, which is 36. So 36 people prefer to text. And so therefore, if we've got 36 people who prefer to text, that means 36 take away the 7 is 29. So 29 women prefer to text, and so the number of women who prefer to email, 38 take away 29, that's 9. So we've got 9 who prefer to email. Here is the completed frequency tree. Question number 18. The incomplete table gives some information about the lengths of the planks of wood in Ben's workshop. We've got the length of plank and the number of planks. The total length of these planks is 92 meters. We have to work out the number of planks of length 2 meters in Ben's workshop. Well, what we can do is find out the total. So the total for the 3 meter planks, we've got 3 times 5, which is 15. So we've got 15 meters in total. For the number of planks, we've got 8 2.5 meter planks. So the total length for the 2.5 meter planks, we've got 8 times 2.5, which is 20. We'll come back to the 2 meter planks. Then we've got 14 1.5 meter planks, and so the total length of those 1.5 meter planks, we've got 1.5 times 14, which is 21. And then for the 1 meter planks, we've got 10 of those, so the total length of all those 1 meter planks is 10. And we know that the total length of these is equal to 92. Now let's just call this length A. What we have then is 15 plus 20 plus A plus 21 plus 10. That's equal to 92. So we've got 92 take away 15, take away 20, take away 21, take away 10, that's 26. So that means I know A is equal to 26. And if the total length of all 2 meter planks is 26, that means the number of planks we would have will be 26 divided by 2, which is 13. So we've got 13 2 meter planks. Question number 19. Rachel, Samina and Tom share £600 between them. Rachel gets 2/5 of the £600. Samina gets a quarter of the money that is left over. Tom gets the rest of the money. Tom says, I would have got more money if we had shared the £600 equally between us. Is Tom correct? Well, what we need to do is find out how much Rachel gets and how much Samina gets and how much Tom gets. So if I take a look at how much Rachel gets, she gets 2/5 of 600. So if I work this out, I've got 2/5 times 600, which is 240. So I've got £240 for Rachel. If I take a look at Samina, she gets 1/4 of the money that's left over. So first of all, what's left over? That will be 600 take away 240. So this is the money that's left over. That's why we find the difference. And because she gets a quarter of this, we need to divide this by 4. So 600 take away 240 is 360, and dividing this by 4, Samina gets 90. And Tom gets the rest of the money. So Tom gets 600 take away 240 take away the 90. So 600 take 240 take 90, that's 270. And so Tom is saying, I would have got more money if we shared £600 equally between us. And what we can do then is say that if we share the money equally, then we've got 600 divided by 3, which is 200. So if we share the money, we get equally, we get 200. So does he get more if we share equally? No, he doesn't. So therefore we can conclude that Tom is incorrect. Question number 20. For part A, we have to simplify c to the power of 5 divided by c squared. Well, here we would have to subtract the powers. So we get c to the power of 5 subtract 2, which is the same as c to the power of 3. And then for part B, we have to simplify d to the power of 4 cubed. Well, here we would have to multiply the powers. So we have d to the power of 4 times by 3. So I end up with d to the power of 12. Question number 21. We have to, for part A, write down the inequality shown on this number line. Well, what we can see here is x is going to be greater than -1. The arrow points to the right of the circle on this number line. Then for part B, we have to show the inequality -3, which is less than or equal to y, which is less than 4. Here is a visual representation of the solution to this inequality. We use a filled circle for the symbol, and we use an empty circle for this symbol. Question number 22. For part A, we have to find the highest common factor of 60 and 84. Well, first of all, let's write out the factors of 60. 1 multiplied by 60 gives 60. 2 times 30 gives 60. 3 times by 20 gives 60. 4 times 15 gives 60. 5 times 12 gives 60. And 6 times 10 gives 60. Here are all the factors of 60. Similarly, for 84, 1 times 84 gives 84. 2 times 42 gives 84. 3 times 28 gives 84. 4 times 21 gives 84. 6 times 14 gives 84. And 7 times 12 gives 84. And so when we come to find out the highest common factor of 60 and 84, well, clearly what goes in both is the 12. And so therefore 12 is the highest common factor. And then for part B, we have to find the lowest common multiple of 24 and 40. Well, let's begin by writing out the multiples of 24. We've got 24, 48, 72, 96, 120, and so on. If I write out the multiples of 40, we've got 40, 80, 120. Now, there's no point carrying on, because at this point what you'd hopefully notice is 120 is common to both. So the lowest common multiple of 24 and 40 is 120. Question 23. Sam drives his car on a journey. Here is the travel graph for the first 15 minutes of his journey. We've got the distance travelled in kilometres and the time of day. For part A, we have to work out Sam's speed in kilometres per hour for the first 15 minutes of his journey. Well, here, from 10 o'clock to 10:15, we've got the first 15 minutes. And what you can see is in 20 kilometres, he would travel 20 kilometres in 15 minutes. And what we need to do is convert this into kilometres per hour. So for me to convert this into kilometres per hour, well, what I want is to have my units to be 60 minutes essentially. And from 15 to 60, I times by 4. So 20 times by 4 is 80. So we have 80 kilometers done in 16 minutes at this constant rate, which is the same as 80 kilometers per hour. So we have 80 kilometers per hour. And then at 10:15, Sam stops for 10 minutes and then drives for 20 minutes at a speed of 75 kilometers per hour. And on the grid, we have to complete the travel graph for Sam's journey. Well, what we know is he stops for 10 minutes. So if I show that, you can see here, he stops for 10 minutes. So up until 10:25, he stops. And then what we need to do is find out the distance. So we know already he travels 75 kilometers per hour. And this is the same as 75 over 60 kilometers per 60 minutes. Now, we need to find out how far he travels in 20 minutes. So what we really want is to have 20 minutes. And so from 60 to the 20, I divide by 3. 75 divided by 3 is 25. So that means he travels 25 kilometers in 20 minutes. So 25 kilometers in 20 minutes, I need to add on to the 20, 25. And so therefore, that takes me up to 45, and I want this done in 20 minutes. So here is our completed distance time graph. Question 24 for part A, we have to complete the table of values for y equals x squared minus 2x plus 2. Well, from our calculator, if we go to the table sub-menu, we can type in our function x squared subtract 2x plus 2. We are starting at -2. We are finishing at 4. We are going up in ones. So here we have 10. When x is -1, y is 5. When x is 1, y is 1. When x is 2, y is 2. When x is 4, y is 10. So here is our completed table. And then for part B, we have to draw this grid from -2 to 4. First of all, we need to plot the points. So here we have -2, 10. Then we have -1, 5. So that is over here. Then we have 0, 2. Then we have 1, 1. And then we have 2, 2. And then we've got 3, 5. And then we've got 4, 10, which is over here. And then what we need to do is join all of these points up with a smooth curve. Here we've got the graph of y equals x squared subtract 2x plus 2. Then for part C, we have to use our graph to find estimates of the solutions. X squared minus 2x plus 2 equals 4. Now, first of all, we need to draw the line of y equals 4. So that line is shown here. And then we need to find out the intersection points. So, for the intersection points, we've got one over here at minus 0.7. So we've got x equals minus 0.7 over here. And if I read the other one off, I get x equals 2.7. So these are my solutions to the equation. Question number 25. Here is a right-angled triangle. We've got 8mm and 10mm, and the shaded shape below is made from two of these triangles, and we have to work out the perimeter to three significant figures. Well, what we can do is use Pythagoras to find out this missing length here. Well, to find this missing length, we'll call it h for now. Using Pythagoras, we know that h squared is equal to 8 squared plus 10 squared, which is 164, and so therefore the value of h is equal to the positive square root of 164, which is 12.8 etc. millimeters. So we have over here 12.8 etc. millimeters for the hypotenuse. So how does this help us? Well, if I look at this shape over here, I know that this length over here is given by 12.80 etc. millimeters, and I know that this length over here is 10, which is the same as this length over here, which is 10. And so I can find out this missing length. If I know that this is 10 millimeters, this entire length is 12.8 etc. So 12.8 etc. subtract the 10. This length over here is 2.80 etc. millimeters. And so therefore, for the perimeter, I've got 8 plus the 10, and then I add on to this 2.80, and then I add on to this the 12.80, and then I add on 8, and then I add on, well, that will be my perimeter, and it turns out I get 41.6 millimeters, given to 3 significant figures. So I end up with 41.6 millimeters. Question number 26. ABC is a right-angled triangle, and what we have to do is work out the length of BC correct to 1 decimal place. Well, let's label the sides of the triangle. We've got AC, which is 12, and this 12 would correspond to the adjacent. We've got BC, which is the opposite, is opposite the angle here. What connects the opposite and the adjacent is tan. So I have tan of 56 equals opposite, which is BC, divided by AC, which is the adjacent of 12. And so therefore, BC is 12 times by the tangent of 56. So if I work this out, 12 times by the tangent of 56, it turns out I get 17.79, etc. So, to 1 decimal place, we've got 17.8. Then we've got PQR, which is a right-angled triangle, and we have to work out the size of the angle marked X, give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. Well, again, let's label the sides of the triangle. I've got the largest side, which is the hypotenuse. I've got the 15 over here, which is the adjacent. What connects the hypotenuse and the adjacent is cosine. So I've got cosine x equals adjacent, which is 15, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 18. And so if I work out what x is equal to the inverse cosine of 15 over 18. And if I work out what this is, turns out I get 33.55 etc. degrees. So to one decimal place, I've got 33.6 degrees. Question number 27. X squared minus 7x minus 18 is equal to 0. We have to solve this equation. Well, I need to find two numbers which multiply to give negative 18 and which add to give negative 7. What are those two numbers? Well, those two numbers will be negative 9 and 2. And so when I come to factorize, I've got x subtract 9 multiplied by x plus 2, and that's equal to 0. So, if x minus 9 is equal to 0, that would imply x is 9. Or, if I have x plus 2 equaling 0, that would imply x is negative 2. So I've got solutions x equals 9 or negative 2. Question number 28. In a sale, the normal price of a boat is reduced by 15%. The sale price is 272,000. We have to work out the normal price. Well, if I let the normal price equal x, that means if I'm reducing something by 15%, 85% is left over, which as a decimal multiplier is 0.85. So I've got 0.85x, so the 0.85 comes from the fact that we are reducing by 15%. This is equal to £272,000. And so if I find out what x is, that's equal to 272,000 divided by 0.85, which is 320,000. So I end up with 320,000 pounds for the normal price of the boat.